Hey guys, I'm Allison. Welcome to my very first knitting podcast. I've wanted to do this for a while. I've been knitting for 4 or 5 years now. I've been crocheting for 22 years. My mom taught me to crochet when I was 6. I'm 28 now. I just turned 28 a few days ago. So occasionally you'll see some crochet sprinkled in, but this will be primarily knitting. I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I was diagnosed shortly before I started knitting actually, and I found that while crochet tends to flare my arthritis quite a bit, knitting doesn't. So you'll see mostly knitting on here on this podcast. I'll do some other like non-podcast videos probably too. I have a few fun ideas, but if nothing else, this will be a fun like video journal of my knitting hobby. So I'm going to structure this pretty similarly to a lot of the knitting podcasts that are out there. So I'll start with whips and get into acquisitions, which I don't usually have very many acquisitions. However, I recently went to Kentucky Sheep and Fiber Festival, May 17th and 18th. So I have a great big bag of goodies to share. I recently got a bunch of stuff clearance from Hobby Lobby, so I'll probably save that for next time because I don't usually have acquisitions. But I have a bunch of fun stuff to show you, so I'll talk about the Fiber Festival later when I do acquisitions. So let's start with my current whips. I've got my big old knitting bag here. I have some smaller project bags that I like to use, or just like if I go out, I take my diaper bag. I have 2 little kids, so I'll toss a project in my diaper bag, but this is where I house most of my knitting projects most of the time. So let's start. We'll start with these. So this is a pair of socks on Malabrigo sock. I've never used their sock yarn before. I actually didn't start experimenting with socks until October, November. I did a bunch of like DK weight socks for Christmas this year, Christmas 2024. And so I did some DK weight socks, and then I kind of got brave enough to start trying some fingering weight socks. So I've knit the first sock is done. This is the first sock that I've felt like the fit was good enough where I could wear this with a shoe. So this sock fits me so well. I've found that I have to do a shorter heel flap. So this is just a heel flap and gusset. And I'm knitting it on size 0 2mm needles. I tend to be a relatively loose knitter, so I almost always have to size down. I know a lot of people will use size 0 needles for their socks, but I know a lot of people like to use size 1, and I've just found that my gauge is not like, it's not tight enough if I use a size 1. So here is the fabric up close. Oh, it's so pretty. I was just before Christmas, I was at my local yarn shop, Hank Yarn Boutique, shout out, love them. And I could not resist this little yarn. Sorry, I heard my daughter is having quiet time in her room, and I just heard her talking. But she's safe, she's good. She has quiet time alone in her room every day still. So, but I found that I need a shorter heel flap, and then so fewer stitches to pick up for the gusset. Otherwise, I tend to find that if I do the suggested height of a heel flap, I tend to get like extra bunchy fabric right at the top of my ankle, right above the heel flap. So through my trial and error, this has been the best result so far. So I didn't do a very tall leg. It's pretty short. It comes, you know, it's just a few inches above my ankle, but I really like it. And so this is the second one. I've already done the leg and the heel flap and gusset and done all the decreases, and I've done probably 15 rows past the decreases. So this is how much yarn I have left. There's plenty here. This is Malabrigo sock in the color, let's see here, 352 Sneezy. And there's 440 yards or 402 meters in this yarn. So it's actually a light fingering versus a fingering. But it's really soft. It's 100%, no, it's, yeah, 100% superwash merino. So I've been kind of chugging away on these for several months now, just as and when. I kind of have to be in the right mood to knit at this fine of a gauge. I enjoy it, but not for a long time. But really, if I decided to, I could crack the rest of this second sock out in, I don't know, a few days if I decided to, but I'm not in a hurry. I've got several other whips going, so we'll probably have some progress on this one though by the time next week comes around, because I have been starting to think, I should work on these socks. Let's just get them finished, get them out of my whip pile. So the next thing I have is actually a project for my daughter. I have done a lot of baby and toddler knits in the last few years since having my daughter. And you know, it's just, I decide to whip something up. But she has never requested something until now. She usually gives me input on like colors and stuff now because she's 3.5. But this is the first garment that she has ever, like out of the blue, said, "Mama, I want you to make me something." So this is the Hannah cardigan by Noelle Knits. It's an all over half fisherman's rib cardigan. And what prompted this, I'm knitting it on Knitting for Olive merino. I'm holding it double. It's a DK weight pattern. I also got this from Hank Yarn Boutique, my local yarn store. And I'd never worked with this before. We went, so let me tell the whole story. So I was at our local Joann's when they first announced they were liquidating, and we just went in to see what we could find, and we were back at the buttons, and I was picking up some cute buttons just to add to my stash, and my daughter saw these bright pink love heart. She said, "Mama, these pink love hearts, I need those." So I got 2 packs of them, so there's 4. So she saw them and she asked them, you know, "Mama, I need these buttons." And I said, what would you use pink love heart buttons for? And she said, "Mama, you should make me a sweater and put the buttons on them." And I jumped all over that, like, oh, I'd love to do that. So we bought 2 packs of these, and then a couple of days later we went to our local yarn store, and she said she wanted pink to match the buttons. I suggested a few colors. I suggested navy or black or brown, or I think I suggested like yellow, like a bright yellow. And she said, no, it needed to be pink to match her buttons. So we walked in, and I knew they had started carrying the Knitting for Olive, and they just happened to have this beautiful, it's a bit like, it's showing up a little more red on the camera, but in person it really is like a really beautiful, like true, like hot pink magenta, not magenta. I think magenta has more purple in it, but it's really beautiful. It's called Pink Daisies. So yeah, I'm knitting this on 4mm needles, US size 6, which I think is the suggested, I think that's the suggested needle size in the pattern. I can't remember. But yep, I've done the whole body. I'm working on the second sleeve. No, not the second sleeve, the first sleeve. I'm working on the second sleeve. And then there's options in the pattern to do a double knit button band or just a traditional ribbed button band. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do the double knit button band. I haven't had a chance to do double knitting before. It's something I've been wanting to try for a while, but I haven't like done a pattern that called for it. So I'm looking forward to that. I may, when I finish this first sleeve, I may go in and do the button band and then go back and do the second sleeve. I'm just concerned that if I do that, I will get stuck on Sleeve Island for so long. So we'll see, I haven't decided. But, so that's my Hannah cardigan for my daughter. Then I have, we'll just get this one out of the way. This is a tank top that I started last August when we were on vacation. It's knit bottom up. I can't remember the name of the pattern. I have it saved somewhere in my phone. I'll have to go find it, but it's knit from the bottom up. I modified it and did broken rib instead of, it called for either 1x1 or 2x2, and I can't remember which one, but I did 1x1 broken rib. I thought that'd be pretty for this yarn. So this yarn is Yarn Bee Bambootiful in the color sea green. It's 50% cotton and 50% viscose from bamboo. I got this on clearance from Hobby Lobby years and years ago. Like probably, I think I may have been pregnant with my daughter, or I maybe just had her. So it's been a few years, but I had a bunch of this in several different colors, and I've done a lot of knitting for my kids with this yarn, but this is the only color that I had a quantity enough for a garment for myself. So I'm knitting this on 3.5 millimeter, 3.5? Yeah, 3.5 millimeter needles. So it's just a nice little knit in the round bottom up project. But well, here I go. I'm just gonna do a few stitches on it. Why not? So I mean, it's kind of been languishing in here. I think I need like 13 inches or something. So, you know, it's just stocking it in the round. So whenever I'm kind of just like meh about the rest of my projects, I just kind of pick this up. But to be honest, I should probably just frog it and do something else with the yarn, but I don't really have any better ideas for the yarn, and it's not bothering me to have this in here. I can just, I mean, right now I can pick it up and, you know, just do a few stitches. So it is nice to have, if I don't have anything stocking it in the round, I can just grab this and toss it in my diaper bag if I, you know, have some downtime while I'm out. You know, if my son falls asleep in the car or something, we're just chilling waiting for him. So this is sitting here. Don't remember the pattern. At some point, if I ever finish it, when I finish it, I'll tell you what the pattern is. But it was free on Ravelry. I can't remember for the life of me what it was called. But moving right along, this is my Alvar pullover from Sari Nordlund. This is my first pattern I've done of hers, and I really enjoyed it. It's a drop shoulder. She does the, you know, bind off here, and then she does the slope shoulders down, pick up at the shoulder, knit down, pick up at the shoulder, knit down, join in the round. So I've done the whole first sleeve, and I did a double collar, so I did it twice the height and then folded it in and you know, sewed it down on the inside, and it's really lovely. So this is it's kind of hard to see in this lighting. I mean, you can tell there's texture, but it's hard to see detail of this is Drops Cotton Merino. I've done the first sleeve. I'm working on the second sleeve. I'm like barely started on the second sleeve, but once I do the second sleeve, this sweater will be done. When the weather started to get warm, I kind of lost steam a little bit because I knew I wouldn't be able to wear it. So This is another one. I'm kind of just picking it up as and when, if the mood strikes me. I had kind of, by the time I got into the second sleeve, I was kind of sick of looking at this chart. I really like the pattern. It's beautiful, and I'm excited to wear this, but the chart is, there's 3 different texture motifs. It's all just knits and purls. But I mean, it's the same chart over and over and over again, so kind of just needed a little bit of a break from it. But this is Drops Cotton Merino. I don't know the colorway name. It's gray. I had bought this yarn for a different project a few years ago now. I had made a t-shirt out of it, and it was when I had first started knitting. This was like my first, like, at the time, like, fancy, not fancy, but my first, like, big girl yarn that I had ever bought. I bought like 14 balls of it, and I used, it's 50-gram balls. I used like 7 or 8 of them for this t-shirt, and it was, I knit it when I was I pregnant with my son? Pregnant with my daughter. I can't remember now. I was pregnant when I finished it, so I couldn't like try it on and check for fit very well because I was like very, very pregnant. So then it was with my daughter. So once I had my daughter and I was like wearing it, the body was really short, and it had like way too much ease, way more ease than I had intended, because I was still figuring out my tension issues at the time too. I hadn't quite figured out that I tend to be a loose knitter. Sorry, my nose is like really itchy. Springtime allergies. So I ended up frogging that t-shirt because I didn't wear it, and I really liked this yarn. And like I said, at the time, this was my first ever like big girl yarn purchase. So it felt like too special to just let it languish in a t-shirt I wasn't gonna wear. My nose is so itchy. I'm so sorry. So I frogged it, and then when I saw this, I knew I wanted to do something with texture. So when I saw this pattern, I was like, oh, there you go. That's what I'm gonna do with that yarn. So, and I think I'm gonna have like I think I might have 1 ball left over. No, this won't be enough to do the sleeve. I'm probably gonna have like just enough to do this project with, you know, some of the wastage I had from frogging the t-shirt. I think I've got some like 5-gram balls in there just kind of sitting. I don't want to have to use those if I don't have to, because I don't want to have to weave in all those ends. But so yeah, that's my Alvar pullover, and I'm really looking forward to wearing this in the fall. I think this will be really great. Even like, I don't know that the neckline is quite right for like a summer evening type knit. I would want this to be kind of a looser neckline. So, but the fabric would be good for that. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get some wear out of it later in the summer, like for bonfires or something. Not that I'm doing very many of those these days, but yeah, you never know. You never know what you'll get invited to. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So my last, oops, I'm unraveling this yarn. So my last, whoops, I hit my coffee cup here. Oh no, it's gone. Darn, okay. So my last whip is this little orange sweater. This is the Flax sweater by Tin Can Knits. This is, I think they have it available in Aran, worsted, and fingering weight. Like, you can do it in any of those weights. Their app is really amazing. They have, their patterns are so well thought out. I did the worsted version of this pattern for my daughter when she was like 1.5 years, and it was so cute. I did it in like a cotton blend. I put her in that a lot. But this is the fingering version, and this is, I did that as a 3/4 sleeve. This is a full sleeve fingering weight. I'm doing this in the size 2 to 4 because weirdly on this one, my gauge with the suggested needles was too small. So no, I went down because I usually have to go down a needle size, and my gauge was too small. So then I went up to the suggested needle size, which was 3.75. Let me check. Yeah, 3.75. And my gauge was still kind of too big, but I really liked the fabric I got in my swatch. So I was like, you know what? I did the math and figured out I just needed to go up a size in the sweater. I needed to go up a pattern size to get the amount of ease I'm going for. So I'm making the size 2 to 4 years for my 1.5-year-old son. And I did it, I was aiming for 4 inches of positive ease, which it actually, his chest circumference is 20 inches. And this is gonna be, I think, exactly 24 inches in circumference. So exactly the amount of ease I was going for, because he really won't be able to wear this until the fall. So I was like, you know, if I do 4 inches of positive ease, he's not gonna grow that much by the fall, so it'll still be big enough to go over a t-shirt or something, but it'll be a nice, like, lightweight sweater so that he can wear like when he goes outside to play. So the fun little detail on this sweater is down the sleeve there is a whole garter stitch stripe all the way down the sleeve. It starts right at the top, up by the collar, and it goes all the way down the one side. So this is, I'm finishing up the hem ribbing right now. I just need like 5 or 6 more rows, and then I'm gonna bind off. I'm just gonna do an Italian bind off. That's what I did for my my cuff on the sleeve, and then when I'm done with the body, I have the second sleeve. But the sleeve went really fast. I think I did the sleeve in like, I don't know, 3 days or something, which, yeah, I was really, I mean, I've been really pleased. This has been flying off the needles. So I have this ball, and then I actually have one more skein that I don't think I'm gonna have to use very, like, there's not a ton here, but I don't need that much for a teeny tiny little toddler sleeve. So I don't think I'll have to use very much of this. So yeah, I'll have like basically a whole skein probably, just about, to do something else with. So that'll be fun. I'm thinking I might do like, I made him a good wool hat last year, and I did it in a 2x2 or 2x1 rib, so it's pretty stretchy. It'll fit him for a couple years, so he won't need a hat this year. But I think I'm gonna do mittens for both of my kids for this winter. So I think I'll double this and make a little pair of mittens for him. There should be enough yarn for that, but we'll see when we get there. So that's my flax sweater for my son. So that's all of my whips. So now I would love to talk about the yarn festival and all of the fun goodies I got. So I went with a pretty good budget. I didn't spend everything I could have, but I spent a good amount, which, I mean, most of the like good yarn I've ever bought is good yarn. Most of the, I don't know, most of my current stash, I guess, I have gotten on clearance or just is really inexpensive yarn. So it was nice to be able to splurge a little bit and buy some really fun stuff. So, oops, this bag is falling apart. So let's get right into it. So the first purchase I made was this watermelon gorgeous scrumptious skein. This is from Ba Yarns, Brenda and Heather, and this is superwash merino. So I went into the festival with kind of a list of, not things I definitely like, not necessarily a shopping list, but like, hey, if you find a yarn you really like that's a fingering, here are your options, like things coming up in your queue. you know, this is a sweater pattern I've been wanting to make. Here's the yardage I need in the weight. So that I at least had kind of guidelines for what I was going to purchase, instead of just like buying random single skeins or like 2 skeins of this and then not really having project plans for them. So I went into it knowing that I wanted to get a couple 100 grams for a fingering weight sweater for my daughter and a fingering weight sweater for my son, which you've already seen this one. I'll talk about Passion Yarns in a minute because I loved this booth. I bought a bunch from this woman. Her yarns are beautiful, but we're not there yet. So I saw this one, and my daughter, all of the things I've knit for her, the ones she reaches for the most are the really brightly colored ones. She loves, I made one, she calls it her, we call it her cotton candy sweater because it was like yellow and blue and pink, and it's just a little fingering weight sweater. What was the pattern? The corn sweater, K-O-R-N, the corn sweater that I made for her last year, and she loves that. I recently felted it. It was super wash. I've always put it in the washing machine, but it got a little bit muddy when she was playing outside, and I threw all of the kids' clothes in the washer because they were all muddy, and I didn't think about it, and I set my washing machine on heavy soil instead of just the regular wash. And that sweater, she can still wear it. It's not fully felted, but it's like, it's half felted. It's a lot stiffer. It doesn't fit her the same. And I was so sad when it came out, and I was just like, oh no, I didn't even think about it because I've always thrown it in the wash. But so I wanted to replace it with something brightly colored. So I picked up this, and it's only 1 skein, but it's 170 grams. So there's 740 yards in this skein. And so I saw it and I went, oh, that's kind of a pricey skein of yarn. And then I realized it was basically 2 skeins. And I thought, oh, 740 yards, that is plenty to make her a new sweater. So I don't know if I'll do the corn sweater or if I'll do, I was kind of thinking maybe I would do a second flax sweater and do it with this yarn. But so she was really excited when I came home with this. So that was the first. And then at the same booth, ooh, where is it? At the same booth, I got, they had a bunch of stickers. And so I got this cute little, it says Pearl Scouts. My husband's an Eagle Scout. And I saw this and I was just like, oh, it's so cute. And Ryan's an Eagle Scout. My husband's name is Ryan. So, and then there was a little princess frog with a ball of yarn in her hands that I got for my daughter too. Because she loves stickers. Both my kids are really in a sticker phase, but her in particular. So I got her, we got a couple of stickers plus the watermelon yarn from that booth. And then my next purchase was, let me pull these out of the bag real quick. So the next thing that I purchased was the Passion Yarns booth. Loved this booth so much. So I guess I didn't really talk about like the festival itself. So this is the little brochure. Look at how cute that is. So cute. So Kentucky Sheep and Fiber Festival. They had lots and lots of vendors. It wasn't like, I guess it wasn't like a gigantic one, but it was really fun. I went with my sisters. What does this say? 33, 14. So yeah, so 47 vendors. And it was a lot of fun. But there was a bunch of livestock, and they did like shearing demonstrations, and there were all kinds of workshops, which we didn't do any workshops. We were just there for the shopping and the atmosphere and walking around. But after they did an alpaca shearing, we missed the actual shearing, but there was a ton of fiber left on the ground. So this is just a little tuft of alpaca fiber that I just picked up off the ground. It was just chilling there, and I spun it into a teeny tiny little, let's see, teeny tiny little Hank. He's so cute. And it's so incredibly soft. So I just brought that as a little keepsake. But there were cashmere goats, and there was this sweet little lamb who, he was like 8 weeks old, and the curl pattern on this sheep was so beautiful, and he was the sweetest thing. We sat there and pet him for like 5 minutes. He was a cross of blue-faced Leicester and something else. I can't remember what he was crossed with, but he was so sweet and he was so soft. There was a woman with Angora bunnies, Angora rabbits, and she was sitting there spinning the Angora, but she was plucking tufts of fiber straight off the bunny and spinning it. And we just stood there like, wow, I didn't know this was a thing you could do. It just never occurred to me. Just pluck it straight from the rabbit and spin it right there on your spinning wheel. It was so fun. And there was a vendor with bees. They brought like a portion of their beehive in just like a clear container, so you could see the bees and the honeycomb and everything. And they had all these like flavored honeys and beeswax candles and beeswax like candle melter things, and oh, it was great. The vendor right next to them had just big garbage bags full of like just a whole fleece. You could just buy a fleece. So that was really cool. I had a fun time like picking out all the different just looking at the fiber and all the different curl patterns on it. It was really cool. But back to the yarn. So the next purchase I made was Passion Yarns. So you already saw the orange. This is my second skein. I also got, this is DK weight. This is for my husband. I'm gonna make him a pair of socks. He has a few pairs of DK weight socks that I've made him that he wears all the time. So I wanted to get something for him and something for both of my kids. So this is the DK weight. So this was the fingering weight. And then this is DK weight. It's 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. And it's the color Extreme Blue. And she just had so many of these beautiful, lovely like tonals. This one is a little bit speckly. It's just so beautiful. So, and I love when my husband wears blue. He's a redhead, so it makes his eyes look bluer and his hair look redder, and so love this color on him. So got those socks, and then so I bought those 3. That was my first purchase. I made 2 purchases at this booth. I bought those 3, and then I turned around and we got outside of her booth, and there was a whole section of self-striping sock yarns that I had totally missed the first time we went through. So I bought 3. So because she had this really fun thing where if you bought 3 skeins, they were discounted 20% off. So how could I not buy 3 and then 3? So these are the 3 self-striping sock yarns I got. They're all 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 450 yards in 100 grams. But look at these colors. Like, look at that. What? I mean, I had already purchased there. I thought about going through the rest of the vendors and then coming back, but two of these colors, they were the last one there. And I was like, I will so regret it if I don't get these colors. So this one is like, there's like 2 different colors of like electric green in here, and then this is really vibrant blue and this really vibrant pink, and just so beautiful. So this is the color Romance. And then this one has light pink and magenta and this really beautiful dark forest green, and there's some oranges in there, and this one is called Floral, and then this last one is called Pastel Love. It makes me think of like, it's like the primary colors but like the pastel versions of themselves. So there's like a really light yellow and like a medium to light blue, and then like some pinky orangey colors, and they're So they're all self-striping. I knew I wanted to get a few skeins rather, of sock yarn since I'm getting into experimenting with socks. So happy with these. I love the colors. They're so fun. So that was everything I got at Passion Yarns. So this was her logo. Let's see. Yes, Debbie Forrester. Terre Haute. I hope Terre O. I know how I would pronounce that in French, but Indiana. So yeah, beautiful yarns. So pretty. She had some really cool bases too. I just went for the wool ones, but she had some, I want to say there was a Sari blend and there was some alpaca and all these beautiful tonal colors. So really, really beautiful. So the next thing I got was these little labels from Cottontail Farm, just little sew-in labels, and they say, this took forever to make. Hand wash, dry flat. So I wanted to get some little labels for my knitwear, for my hand knits for quite a while. So I saw these and I was like, I've got to have them. So cute. And then let's see, what else? Okay. So the next purchase, this was my biggest purchase of the day. So at this point in the day, we looked at a bunch more booths, and then we went and had some food, and they had like some kettle corn and this really delicious lemonade, like pressed right there. It was really fun. So this was my biggest purchase of the day. After lunch, we went back, we were looking at some more stuff. And so this is from Fiber Seed, and they're actually quite local to me. They're like really close to where I am. This is their DK weight Sprout is the name of this base. Sprout DK. There's 250 yards per skein. And they had 8 of them on the shelf. And I needed 10 for this. So the sweater I want to make with these is, they're so soft. I love them so much. So the project I want to make with these is the pearl sweater. Just came out by Knitonomy, Magdalena Parker. It's this beautiful all over cable knit sweater, and one side of the cables is all seed stitch. It's the first time I saw this sweater, I've never done a full cable knit sweater before. I've done some cables, but not like extensively. And I've wanted to do a cable knit sweater for a while. And when I saw this pattern for the first time a few months ago, I was just like totally blown away. It's so beautiful. So before we went, this was on my list of like things I could buy if I find the right yarn. I just knew I wanted a pastel. I know a lot of the testers for this pattern did, like all the sample photos are like white and cream. And I know some of the testers did white and cream too. One of my favorite knitting podcasters, aka Nora Knits, love her. She's so cute. I love her podcast. She was one of the testers for this pattern. So she's been talking about it on her podcast for like months now. And I've just been lusting over this pattern, this pattern the whole time. So, yeah, so I bought 8 of them there because that's what they had with them. And I asked if they had more because I needed 10 to get the yardage I need for my size. And so I had to place an order. So I bought the 8 and then I paid for and ordered right there 2 more of this same color. So this is just the natural colorway. I thought this was undyed, but it does have a dye lot listed. So maybe this is dyed cream. I'm unclear. I thought this was undyed, but now I'm not sure. Either way, it's 90% it's 90% USA merino wool, 10% nylon. And this is one of the softest wools I've ever felt. It's so soft. Like this will be fully comfortable next to skin. It'll be a while before I actually start this project, but I'm so excited for it. It's so squishy. Oh my gosh, I love it. So the last purchase that I made was from Deep Dyed Yarns. This is her Mantua base. It's 85% merino, 15% mulberry silk. The color is chrysanthemum. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's a little bit darker. It's pretty true to color, but it's like a little bit darker in person, I think, versus what the camera's picking up. But like, oh my gosh, look at that. What? So pretty. So this is going to be, oh gosh, what's the name of the pattern? The mixed rib cami. And I can't remember. It's not My Favorite Things knitwear, is it? I can't remember. I'll maybe link the pattern in the description so that I can't remember who it's by, but it's the mixed rib cami. Who wrote that pattern? I can't remember. I'll link it down below. But yeah, so this is also fingering weight, I believe. Fingering weight, yeah, 400. Oh, this is, wow, 485 yards in 100 gram skein. Like, wow. And it doesn't seem like, I mean, I wouldn't even, like, looking at the strand, I wouldn't necessarily look at that and say, oh, it's light fingering instead of fingering. But it's 480 yards to 100 grams. So yeah, really soft, really nice. I've never worked with anything with silk content before. So I'm really looking forward to that. So, but this is another one. I want to get through some of these whips over here before I start casting on new things. So it'll be a little bit before I cast on anything else. But I think, yeah, I think that's everything. So if you've watched all this way through, thanks for being here for my very first knitting podcast. So yeah, like and subscribe and comment and all those things that the algorithm likes. But you know, maybe come back for the next one. I've wanted to try this for a while, so thanks for being here. Bye.